Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7 update 1.40. So with 50 new license tests to go ahead and complete in the form of the master licenses, we're going to move on to my third video in this series. We're around about halfway there, or over halfway should I say, when we get this one finished, and we're going to complete international B license. Now it's going to get a little bit tougher from here on in, but overall I would say that it really wasn't too bad. There was a couple of the license tests, mainly IB3 and IB4, that really kind of grinded my gears a little bit, but apart from that, most of these were fairly simple and straightforward. Now, as usual, just to kind of prove a point that they are doable, my rules still apply that I have to do them on the DualSense controller and that I cannot use any assists unless the game states otherwise. So let's get straight into it with IB1. Okay, so on to IB1. This is using the Ferrari GTO from 1984 at Monza for high-speed corners number 1. Now, in terms of the overall gold time for this one, very lenient. I managed to get it my first try whilst absolutely buttering the run, which you're going to see here. So head over to the left, look for the boards on the left. At the 100 board, slam the brakes on as hard as you can, bring the car down the gears, and then you should realistically rotate inwards and then back out wide. However, I got a lot of slide at the rear. Obviously these comfort softs are a bit of a sketchy tyre in terms of trying to go as fast as possible, but as you can see, we managed to correct it and we did manage to then just fully accelerate out across the line. So again, very lenient on the gold time for this one. I got a 22.001 with a gold time of 22.220. Okay, so on to IB2, once again high speed corners, this time with a ZR1C4 Corvette at Willow Springs, and perhaps the worst corner in the entirety of GT7. In terms of tips, it's really quite difficult what to advise you, considering I absolutely hate this corner and only got it first time by just absolute pure luck. I'll still slow the footage down and try and sort of have a look at what I did, but in all honesty, yeah, just take that one with a pinch of salt. I am not great at this corner. I absolutely hate it. So I went out wide. As you can see, I'm looking for the boards just before the 150, slam those brakes on, lift off, try and get the rear of the car to rotate inwards. Again, I definitely felt like I braked far too early, but I still managed to get the gold. Bring the accelerator on, try and clip the inside there all the way to the outside, and then absolutely flat out to the finish. Again, a tough one for me. Is perhaps the worst corner in GT7 in my opinion. I really don't know what to advise you there, only just getting the gold, but again, a first time gold, getting this one done and out the way, I'm really not complaining. IB3 next. This one gave me a ton of problems. I'm not quite sure why. We're back on the snow for this one. Typically these have a lot more of a lenient time, but I was just massively struggling to get the power down correctly in this Subaru. So as you begin, just absolutely go for it. In terms of the torque distribution, I recommend either sort of 35-65 or 40-60. Again, look for the boards, and where the final board is on your left, begin to turn in. You want it to angle all the way outwards to give yourself a very nice and quick run out of this big bank turn. Turn 1, I would say, is definitely the one where you need to try and be as consistent as possible to get as much time ticked off as possible. Full acceleration, then you're going to head to the right here. Now this part isn't too bad, but you've got a quite sharp left-hander just after, and you want to try and time it properly. So bring it down a gear, get the rear end to kick out, preferably not too much. As you can see, it caused me far too much slip when I went for the short shift. Just tapping the barrier there but getting away with it, and then it is full acceleration up and across the line, flat out after that left-hander, and you should be all good for the gold. 35.840 for our gold, with a time of 35.910 as the target time. IB4 next, and the NSX Type R from 2002, as well as the Suzuka Circuit combination, proving to be an absolute pest in terms of licenses. If you remember day 1 of GT7, you'll probably remember this track and this car combination for the hairpin turn. Now we're at the S's. It's going to be maintaining third gear into the left. Then when you head to the right, you want to downshift to second, a short shift back to third, and retain the grip. This is where it changes up. I'm going to slow it down here because of it. Keep it in third gear. You want to be getting up across that curb, but you want a much better angle than I got here. I just got too much slip on the rear and it ended up going out wide. downshift to second and short shift back to third, but once again the rear end's going to slip. We're just going to catch it to keep it inside those track limits, and then once you get to this left-hander, begin turning in nice and early and try and loop yourself up and around. So maintaining third gear, we're going to head out wide again, slip at the rear of the vehicle, and then we're just going to absolutely try and power through it all the way across the line. I had a ton of problems trying to do this one, and in the end only just got it. 29.590 for our gold medal. Okay, so halfway there, IB5 next, a Racing Line Expert 2 at Watkins Glen Long Course. So let's get straight into this one. Another one that I managed to crack out first time, I think mainly just by pure luck. So what you're looking to do is aim to the left hand side here and keep your eye on the little number boards. And as you can see, just after the 500, between sort of 400 to 300, you want to brake heavy, bring the car across the curb. You can make up a ton of time here doing such. Over the left curb, lift and angle it over this curb here, and then run up onto the right hand curb there. On exit, aim it out as wide as possible and begin to bring the car across to the right hand side. So you've got a long sweeping right hander here. Throttle control is essential, and then on exit you want to try and get out wide and accelerate as hard as possible. As you can see here, we've put the power all the way down, just getting onto the curb. Don't go over the white line or else it will sort of disqualify you. Brake at the 200 board really hard, turn the car in, lift, and then we're going to accelerate again and try and aim out wide. So as close to this left-hander as possible. You can chop up a bit of the curb if you want to. Start bringing the acceleration back in and up onto the curb on the right-hand side here. Now head over to the left, look at the Gran Turismo boards on the left. Use the second one or the middle one as your braking marker. Brake nice and hard, lift off, let the car turn in, and then use throttle control to rotate the car through the right hander. Once again, this one's going to go uphill, so try and run out as wide as possible. Full acceleration on exit, and this is going to finish up the Watkins Glen IB5. Overall, bit of a lengthy one, but not too difficult once you kind of know this section of the track, and I absolutely love Watkins Glen. IB6 up next, and now we have the Cayman GT4 for Racing Line Expert 3 at Lake Major. Right, let's get into this one. It's, I guess, another one that's kind of stretched out and a bit lengthier, but really not too difficult. The car we're using here has insanely good handling. So left-hander here, you just want to lift a little bit to get the car to rotate in as closest to the curb as possible, and then lift once again for the right-hander. Get yourself up over the curb, out nice and wide. You can run onto the white curb there. Now, in between the 150 board, you want to be braking nice and heavy. Again, lift and let the car rotate in. Try and bring yourself up over the curb here on the right, and then begin to push yourself out wide up onto this curb here if possible. I got a little bit of a slip from the rear there, so I kind of missed where I wanted to head. We're going to turn inwards to the right hander, up over the curb, and then you want to aim it so that you don't end up going too wide, so you get a nice sort of straight full acceleration run out there. So there we go, a little bit of slip once again from the rear. Now where this curb begins, you want to get to around about halfway, brake nice and hard, down the gears, head left. You can chop up plenty of this curb, just don't go too far over. Go on the inside and then full throttle on exit to bring yourself out nice and wide and down the main start finish straight. You should be able to get this one not too difficult really. Again, the car that we're given is very, very good in terms of its overall handling and feeling. So we got this one actually spot on the time at 5:50, which is quite ridiculous. Master IB7 now with the MC20 at Spa. So I'm going to be totally honest, it's a bit of a blagger's car. What I mean by that is just kind of the way that it kind of has to be driven to get the most out of it is horrible. If you remember the sort of time trial that we had with this thing, I think it was at Bathurst a few months ago when it was first released. Yeah, it's just a weird car to drive. So I'm going to slow down the entire thing. At the 200 board, you want to absolutely downshift to first and then bring your gears back up. This seems to be the best way to get the most out of this car. So you go down to first to help with the braking, and then kind of short shift up the gears to maintain your grip as you go into the corner and out the corner. It's really quite bizarre how you have to work this car. Down to second, up to third. You want to be as close to the right hander as possible and then bring it out nice and wide. Bit of slip from the rear there, so just be mindful of that. Up to fourth, so we're really getting through the gears nice and early. Then the curb on the left just before, bring it down once again. get it into first and then start going up the gears. Getting the rear end kicking out in this car really isn't too much of a bad thing. It's kind of how you have to drive it, but you want to be short shifting to grab as much traction as possible almost instantly. So through the right hander, bring it out nice and wide, and then look on the right hander here, as you can see over to the right. Bring it down the gears into second, short shift to third just to maintain as much grip as possible, up onto the curb, massive slide there, so we go up to fourth to try and maintain that grip, and across the line with a 39.823. It's a bizarre handling car, and I'm not a huge fan of how it has to be driven. Okay, now into something a little bit easier. This is IB8, corner intermediate 2 on wet tracks using the M2 competition. Now, in terms of this event here, it's sort of coming towards the end of Suzuka. You're fighting more against the weather, I'd say, than the actual timer. It's all about just keeping control of the car. In all honesty, I'd just recommend short shifting, you know, not kind of overdoing it with the revs. The car's going to want to kick out. Again, not using traction. If you want to use it, it'll probably make this much easier. Brake nice and early due to the wet weather and the sports hard compound. As you can see, we're going to miss the apex here and the car's going to be sliding out of control. We do manage to still get it up on the curb and try and retain as much grip as we possibly can. Keeping it in third, drop it down to second to get the front end to turn in, and then you're going to see we're going to short shift back up to third, trying to get ourselves on the curb, but the rear end once again is going to begin to break away. So we short shift up to fourth to maintain the traction, bring it out nice and wide, and then carefully accelerate out of the corner and then up and across the line. Quite easy this one, you shouldn't have too much trouble getting this one done and dusted. Very lenient on the time, more against the weather. Okay, so on to IB9 now. We're back on the snow with Snow Driving Intermediate 2 using the rather quite bizarre choice of the Porsche 95987. As you can see, we've got the snow tyres on. Now, this one, again, you're kind of fighting more against the track than you actually are the timer. As you can see, there's a ton of bumps here that the Porsche's not going to like. Do not be full throttle as you begin. You will just end up flipping the car everywhere. It'll just sort of completely go wrong. As you can see though, the bumps are going to set you up quite awkwardly for the right hander, so bring it out wide and then bring it nice and close inwards, short shifting again to maintain traction, drop a gear for the left hander to bring the rear end out. As you can see, I really didn't get the best of runs here, but this is why I'm slowing it all down, and then on exit, short shift of course, and then full acceleration out for this kind of sweeping left hander. It's not too tight, so you can pretty much be flat out if you need to be. So yeah, more against the track than you actually are against the timer for that one. Just be very mindful of the bumps, very lenient on the time. Okay, so final exam time once again with IB10 using the brand new LFA at Fuji International Speedway. I thought I was going to struggle here a lot more than any of these others, mainly because the last part of Fuji is really complex, really awkward, and obviously we're using a road car. However, it wasn't too difficult, but I'm still going to slow down the majority of this clip just to be able to kind of talk you through step by step what's going on. So brake just before that big sort of yellow billboard there. Bring it down the gears and aim in for the apex of this corner. You can really chop a lot of time off here, get it up over the curb and then short shift outwards. Straight away head left and chop this curb up here so you get a nice fairly straight angle. Once again able to kind of take a ton of curb. Now bring it out wide, and this is where it's going to get really awkward. Out to the head of the curb and then short shift, or downshift should I say, bring it into the right with a bit of a short shift there to maintain your grip levels. Head up onto this curb here and now start heading out wide to the right hand side of the track. Bring it out in a big arch sort of way. Again, I'm going to downshift just to kind of get the car to kick out slightly. Bring it in and angle it all the way to the curb here. Again, you can take a lot more of it than you probably expect to if you do end up going that kind of deep in. Short shift to maintain traction, head out all the way to the left, and you want to try and give yourself a nice big run down the straight. So we're going to go out wide just to kind of keep into this sort of dark colored lines, as you can see here. We're going to bring it in far too much to the inside. I'd honestly recommend just going a bit wider for a better angle and a better run out. Again, short shifting to maintain traction and then all the way to the finish. The main thing you're really fighting against there is the traction, and in all honesty, it's quite a difficult sector to really any track. We did manage to take the gold though relatively easily. So for full completion of International Master License B, we're going to get a 5-star roulette ticket for all of the bronze medals. However, in terms of the gold medal reward, we're going to get a much better reward this time around in terms of the overall, I guess, experience of vehicles and such. We're going to have the Lexus LFA. This is a brand new car to GT7 and you can earn it for free by completing International B in the Master Licenses. So there we have it. We have one more of the traditional license tests to get through in the form of International Master A. Then we move on to, I guess, Master Super licenses with these sort of 1 lap time attacks. So I'll try and get the next video out tomorrow, and then we'll get the Master licenses done to finish off this series. Thank you so much for watching. If this guide did help you out, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Turn those notifications on so you never miss an upload from me. I upload GT7 and motorsport related content each and every day. Feel free to become a channel member if you do want to. There should be an option somewhere on screen, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.